Hi, Sharks. It is Financial Sharks with Galit Sadiq, and today is hard for me. And I wondered about maybe canceling this Money Monday, but I felt like I needed to get on here and just talk about what's going on. As you can tell, I am a woman, and last week's events, the Supreme Court over overturning Roe versus Wade have hit me hard, and I'm scared. I I'm scared about my fellow women. I'm scared about what might happen to them. I'm scared about more rights being taken away from women. I'm scared about things possibly getting taken away from the LGBTQ plus community. Um, some other things that came up in that decision were possibly rethinking, you know, sodomy laws and same-sex marriage laws. That's obviously not to say like, freak out right now, but it is something that we need to be aware of. Um, from a purely financial standpoint, even there are so many ramifications that women are going to have. It's not, you know, it's an easier case to make on a human level than to come at this from a purely financial level. We want to make sure that people stay out of danger. We want to make sure that women have the opportunity and the right to choose what is best for them and their body. But from a purely financial standpoint, the people that are going to be most affected by this are low income women. Uh, and they are, they are going to be in danger of losing their life by, there have always, always, always been abortions. They just were not safe. And I do not want women dying because they don't have safe options. Um, from a financial standpoint, if you're already low income and you are forced to have a child when you are not ready, when you do not want it, when it is a child born out of rape, when it is a child born out of some horrific moment in your life, that is going to send you into a free fall financially. Kids are expensive. We all know that. People that take on this responsibility on, you know, because they want it are financially affected by having kids. And that, they have chosen to do that. And that is, something that hopefully they are budgeting for. But putting someone in that situation when they are not ready for it, when they can't financially, you know, think about a 12-year-old girl who was raped by a family member and now has to bring a child into this world with no help. I think that if we've done this, if we have changed the game, we need to figure out how to support people financially. From a guy's perspective, now like there is a human that you need to support until they are at least 18 years old. Like this this is not in a vacuum. What we are doing, we are I don't think that there is any woman out there who goes into abortion, without really thinking it through and without knowing that this can affect her emotionally, physically, you know, this idea that people are just out there, because they want to get an abortion, like, that's not the case. It is usually someone who has struggled, who is in danger, who possibly has an ectopic pregnancy where the fetus is developing outside of the womb and it could kill them. Are we going to now make limits on IVF? Because in IVF, multiple fetuses or multiple eggs really get implanted. And sometimes if there's too many in the womb, like, you have got to pick and choose which are the most viable and put those. Are we saying now that the eggs that are sitting frozen, those now are lives? Like, where does it end? Where do our rights start? Where do our rights end? And I just want you to think about it. And I've pulled some stats about how not having access to abortion affects women, and especially those women who are already struggling financially. There was a study that was done with two sets of data, women that got an abortion and then women that were turned away, and how it affected them financially. And I'm going to read from that study for you because I want you to understand. And if there are other studies that you know of, please feel free to send them to me. If there's studies about the medical risks, the medical costs, I saw something that said if this was about babies, then, healthcare would be free. There would be more funding towards foster care and more funding for, things like adoption and an easier method to get to really adopt. There would be no charge to deliver a baby in a hospital, and definitely not these crazy charges that we have today where you can deliver in the hospital no matter the complications and somehow end up with like a $100,000 bill. These are things that we got to take care of first before weigh the rights of women to decide what to do and how to do it with their bodies. So, all right. So I'm going to read from this study. I took this. It's the economic impact of denied abortion, and it's from an article in the Washington Post. Okay. So, after women were turned away at an abortion clinic, they saw their overdue deaths climb by 78%. That or $1,750 a year, and they experienced 81% more of the sort of negative events such as bankruptcies, tax liens, or evictions that show up in public records. Women who were allowed to go through with the abortion fared better economically, researchers find. Okay, that is 81% more bankruptcies. That means that child is growing up in a family that does not have enough money to support them. They are living in poverty. Tax liens. Not only are they living in poverty, but now the government is taking any piece of money that they could possibly have and be surviving on, or evictions, meaning they don't have a place to live. They are not now homeless with those children, right? 81%. That is a huge, huge number. That is disproportionately affecting women of low income. It's horrific, really, to think about that is what's happening. The women studied were part of a data set of almost 1,000 women at 30 abortion clinics in 21 states. So this is really across This is not just like one isolated clinic. We are talking about across the board type of a result. And it just from a logical perspective, if we could think about like what we are putting women through, just this mental exhaustion, right? With no consequence for the men. The punishment for aborting a child, aborting a fetus, aborting something that is not even really, viable yet, that is not anything yet in most cases, because most women are not getting abortions later into the pregnancy. They are getting it, when they find out they're pregnant. They are not. I don't understand how somebody could think that we as women could be so flippant as to like grow something inside of us for months and months and months and not really think about and like it not be heavy. It just drives me absolutely crazy to just think that people think that this is something that is gone into lightly, right? So, oh my gosh, it's so hard for me to talk about. It's something that I am just putting myself in this scenario and trying to think about what is going through somebody's head when they have to do something like this, and knowing that it cannot be entered into lightly, and it is not entered into lightly, and to have to choose between your life and you dying and else possibly not being born is not an easy decision. It is something that I had to have a conversation with my husband about on Friday, because Arizona is one of the states that abortion is being limited or taken away. I think there's actually two different laws on the books which kind of contradict each other. So I know that abortion clinics in Arizona are not functioning right now. But I had to have this conversation because we are trying to get pregnant. And now what happens if it comes down to my life or, the life of my zygote? And I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how I could make that decision. And I hate that I now don't have the opportunity to make that decision for myself. There's some comments, so I want to, so a Facebook user has said, typical birth with insurance is $18,000, right? So now we are looking at that cost. If it was about babies, then this cost would be zero. The cost of healthcare, the cost of keeping people healthy would be zero. It's not about human life. It is not about babies. It is limiting options for women. It is making them do what someone else wants them to do, not allowing them to have the choices for themselves. It is making that, I'm going to say, like one of the horrible cases, right? It's making that 12-year-old girl who's whose pregnancy is a result of incest, it is making her entire life change and her not be able to afford having a good life or giving a good life to that child. That's really what it comes down to. This is who you're affecting. You're not only affecting women like me who have to make the awful decision. You are affecting 12-year-old little girls. You are affecting people that cannot, they don't have the maturity level to bring another human into that world, and we are fucking people up. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Another comment is the last C-section was 5 times that. Okay, so we are now, almost at 100 for a birth. Like, this is I'm not speaking about something that doesn't happen every single freaking day, and that is with insurance. His Facebook user was in that position when she was carrying conjoined twins. Like, what do you do? What do you do? How can you say that the government can make these decisions? How can you say that the government can force you to allow something else to use your body? There is no other place. There's no other time that this is allowed besides for right in this instant. You are literally allowing something to use somebody's body, to change somebody's life, and the government is mandating it. That's the biggest problem that I have with it. We cannot, and yes, people are saying it goes back to the states, but this has to do with like a right that I knew. I took Women's Studies 101 in college. Like, this was a right that I had as a woman. I had a chance to decide my destiny, decide my future, decide what was going to happen in my life. And it scares me that other women do not get to decide. It scares me that I do not get to decide in, if it happens to me. It really does. It's a non-negotiable. It's a crime against humanity. It is something that a lot of you are going to be upset with me. A lot of you have very strong, feelings on the matter, and I'd love to hear them. I would love for you to comment here. I would love for you to share your stories. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it'll change my mind. I just allow people to choose what's right for them. Allow women to choose what's right for them. And it sickens me to think, that the penalty, the jail time for having an abortion is more than the jail time for the person who raped that girl. Like, let's be logical here. Like, how is this okay? How is this right in anyone's mind? How is it okay for, I think I read somewhere that a woman could be jailed up to 99 years, but her rapist would get out in 5. I don't know what else to say. These are humans that we are dealing with. These are actual people. It's all fine and dandy to like live in a perfect world and say that every child should live, and but it's not a perfect world, and we're not set up to handle it. And that 12-year-old girl is not set up to handle it. that 18-year-old girl that got raped is not set up to handle it. Like, let them make that decision for themselves. Let them decide what the rest of their life is going to look like. That shouldn't be a decision that the government gets to make. On that note, I feel like I need to stop, because like I'm scared, and I'm going to, like, I'm crying. I can't believe that we are in a place where we have so little compassion for our fellow humans, when we are denying them the right to their own body. That we are on the precipice of possibly denying people the right to love who they love during, especially for it to come out like right now. For those of you who know or don't know, we are in Pride Month, and like, for that to have been referenced on the table, like, these are rights that we are denying people, and it really hurts, and it really sucks. And I mean, I just don't know what else to say. Be outraged. Be outraged. Protest. This is another thing. Like, Friday, there was a rally here in Arizona, and it's an open carry state. And on the one hand, yeah, that sometimes makes, it doesn't necessarily make it so that it's a more dangerous state, because I felt more in danger in most places in New York than I feel here in Arizona. But I couldn't go to the rally because I was scared. I'll be 100% honest. Like, one, I found out about it a little too late, and it was at 6 p.m. and it was really hard for me to make. On the other hand, like, a lot of it was holding me back as like an openly like, on such a topic that is so emotionally charged. I was scared, and I unfortunately felt vindicated the next day when I found out that it was broken up with, this peaceful protest was broken up with like tear gas, and like, we don't have the opportunities to protest peacefully anymore, and that hurts as well. I just feel like so trapped. I feel like all of the progress that we are making, all of the strides towards equality, towards women's rights, are falling. Like, we're going backwards, and I'm devastated. I'm devastated. But do think about, who you are electing. Think about how you can safely protest, how you can safely make your voice heard, be outspoken, tell your stories. I have stories to share. And yeah, I want to hear yours too. So maybe we can do this together. Maybe we can be strong together. Maybe we could talk about it. And maybe people will start to listen. On that note, have a Money Monday. We'll go hopefully back to regular programming next Monday, and I'll have a money topic for you. I just could not talk about money today. It was too raw, and I needed to say something. And maybe when I'm ready, I will share my stories. And that's it. Have a good night. Have the happiest Money Monday that you can have today. Ladies, I'm fighting for you. People, I'm fighting for you. Human beings, I'm fighting for you. And I will see you soon. I also have my podcast on Wednesday. So if I don't see you here, I will see you on the Galit Speaks page this week. And we'll talk soon. Have a happy Money Monday, everyone. Bye-bye.